Move on to East Africa now, where Britain is to pay over $30 million in compensation to Kenyans tortured by colonial forces during the Mau Mau uprising in the 1950s and the 1960s. The British government has also expressed regret for those abuses. With the details, here's CCTV's Richard Bestic.
Statement, the Foreign Secretary.
They were words never heard before in this place, the old imperial power apologising to its victims.
The British government recognises that Kenyans were subject to torture and other forms of ill treatment at the hands of the colonial administration. The British government sincerely regrets that these abuses took place and that they marred Kenya's progress towards independence. Torture and ill treatment are abhorrent violations of human dignity which we unreservedly condemn.
Those abuses date back more than 50 years to what the British government at the time called the Kenyan emergency. The Mau Mau uprising from 1952 triggered a brutal response from the British colonial authorities. Around 150,000 people were rounded up, tens of thousands killed, many others tortured and maimed. Half a century or so later, 3 Kenyans travelled to Britain to tell their story to the High Court and won the right to sue the British government. The British opted to settle out of court. Now, more than 5,200 Kenyans have secured compensation and something more. Recognition of their suffering will be marked by the construction of a permanent memorial in Nairobi, to be paid for by the British.
Although we should never forget history and indeed must always seek to learn from it, we should also look to the future, strengthening a relationship that will promote the security and prosperity of both our nations. I trust that this settlement will support that process, the ability to recognise error in the past, but also to build the strongest possible foundation for cooperation and friendship in the future are both hallmarks of our democracy.
Lawyers for the victims said this was a day they never thought they'd see.
I'm totally delighted on behalf of my client. It was the most magnificent moment to hear him giving the apology, to hear him making the announcement about the compensation. In many ways I thought we'd never see this day.
This matter has been about much more than simply money. For Britain, it's a significant moment, coming to terms with the brutalities of its imperial past, making apologies and recompense, and building for a future based on friendship on equal terms. Richard Bestic, CCTV, London.